Hey there, dearly beloved. We're gathered here to celebrate the institution of marriage. I got my suit on in the office today because why not? We're being fancy today. I took my little daughter out for some Chick-fil-A, and we since we reorganized the schedule this week. Friday was going to be Fancy Friday, but we changed it to Thursday just because we can't. It's quarantine time. Who cares? So today is Fancy Friday, even though it's Thursday. Well, let me tell you this. Got my suit on. This is something I would wear to, go to a wedding or officiate a wedding. I'm a minister, so I do a few of these weddings. Not many weddings happening this time right now. Not many at all, because of quarantines and the coronavirus. You think, well, that's a big bummer. A lot of people have had to have planned weddings and they've had to cancel them or postpone them or call them off entirely, and that just stinks. Weddings are a big deal, and they're a big deal because of not just the big decisions that are put into to who you're going to pick and who you're going to commit your life to as a bride and a groom and all the cost that goes into this, but a wedding and a marriage, that is a picture of the gospel, Christ and the church. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. As a campus minister for many years, this is something that is on everybody's mind, about getting married and finding someone to marry him or her. And I just found it to be always eye-opening to say, hey, marriage and sex is really all about God and about the church and how he loves the church. You think about the original wedding in Genesis 2, and it was that Adam needed a helper. He was alone, and so God created a suitable helper for him. So each marriage is instituted as God has brought a man here who is incomplete, and this woman, he and her are both fine as individuals, but God's called them to make this one unit, to become one flesh, and to serve him and image him, and they are loving and giving and charity towards one another all of their days. And that's the beauty of marriage. Well, when you get to the New Testament, after marriage is taking a beating over the history of redemptive history there, when you get to Paul's writing, we don't know if Paul ever got married. We don't think he did. Who knows? Might have been a widow or whatever. He was traveling around without a wife, so assume he wasn't married. But when you get to Ephesians, it talks about how we're to walk in love in Ephesians 5 as Christ loves. And he gave himself as a fragrant offering, as a sacrifice. You can't talk about marriage without talking about sacrifice. It's a loving sacrifice. It's a joy, as we talked about yesterday, for the Christ to go to the cross for his people. And it's a joy to love your spouse. It's not a ball and chain. It's a beautiful, wonderful, wonderful picture of God's love for us. So when you're talking about the meaning of resurrection and the significance of it, what you have on the other side of resurrection is the bloody sacrifice of a husband giving everything for his bride. Why does he do that? Listen to what Ephesians 5 says. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. This is Ephesians 5:25. It says, why? That Jesus might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word, so that he might present the church to himself in splendor, without spot or wrinkle or any such thing, that she might be holy and without blemish. In the same way, husbands should love their wives as their own bodies. No one ever, he who loves his wife loves himself. No one ever hates his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, as Christ does the church. So what's going on here is Jesus pictures in his love for the church what is the ideal of a marriage. Now, when you fast forward to the very end of the Bible, we saw the beginning of the Bible has a wedding with Adam and Eve. The middle of the Bible with Paul using a wedding and a marriage to talk about Christ and the church and the gospel. What do you see at the end of the Bible? A wedding. A great multitude gathered. There's a roar, there's a cry, there's a thundering sound. And it says, hallelujah. This is Revelation 19. For the Lord our God, the Almighty reigns. Let us rejoice and exalt and give him glory. For the marriage of the Lamb has come, and his bride has made herself ready. It was granted her to clothe herself with fine linen, bright and pure. Now check that out. A wedding right there at the end. How does God do that? Well, it's through the death and resurrection of Jesus. That is what makes her spotless, radiant, brightly clothed. Why? Because she's the body of death has gone, and the spiritual body, the resurrected body, has come. We will have no more sin, no more corruption. We will be fit for heaven. That's the meaning of the resurrection. You can't understand the resurrection unless you get that it connects to a wedding and a marriage. As beautiful as that bride you see is on her wedding day, that is nothing compared to what she will be and what he will be on the day in which Jesus calls his bride out to spend eternity with him. It's what we're made for. It's the wedding behind all the weddings, the marriage behind all the marriages. They say Jesus was questioned about marriage in Matthew 19, and he says, "Hey, look, there's no marriage after the resurrection, because the marriages we see now are just picturing what the true reality is us dwelling face to face in love with God." It's a love story. The Bible's a love story. It's the greatest wedding. It's coming, guys. It's on the other side of the resurrection. We can't get there without it. That's the meaning of the resurrection. So let's think about that. Let's think about the gospel as we understand this is the Easter season. So this is day 17. We've got 13 more to go as we count down to April 12th, Easter Sunday. Join us online. You can, of course, see the worship archives here. We're going to be on week 2 of online worship. So let's rock and roll with that. And Lord willing, we will see you on the live stream. Jump on, support the channel, like it, subscribe, share, comment. If you had some questions on marriage and the meaning of marriage and the resurrection, comment, look me up. Let's talk about it. Okay, God bless. Have a good one. See you.